projects draw risks from a wide range of sources. Different projects will be influenced significantly by risks from other sources and not by others. Here are some of the main sources of risks that can affect projects. Stakeholders and their requirements will likely be the first source of risk we will experience for each project. All information from stakeholders needs to be checked for accuracy and any assumptions verified. Seek second opinions. Often, stakeholder requirements will grow as individual stakeholders climb their learning curve about the project. Changes that are introduced after initial agreement of stakeholder requirements is often called requirements or scope creep, and can cause the death of a project when allowed to increase unchecked. Some stakeholders have a very narrow perspective about the project and will only consider their own views. This can considerably constrain a project, especially if the stakeholder has high influence. If the project manager has not provided a prioritized list of project requirements, then significant difficulties can occur if project constraints are modified, for example through cost cuts. Which project requirements can be compromised? If needs and wants have not been established, then this has become a risk to the project. In rapidly changing situations, for example with changing technology or working with unpredictable clients, stakeholder requirements may not be stable enough to determine and agree project-level requirements. A rapidly changing situation will require an effective change configuration management process that captures and processes ongoing changes. A poor project change management process will introduce further risks. An important stakeholder is the customer or project sponsor. If the customer has an unclear view of the project or has provided insufficient documentation, then this can introduce significant risk. Alternatively, what changes will the customer need to introduce in their own organization in order to accommodate the project outcomes? If the customer organization has to make some significant and difficult changes, then there will be risk as these issues become recognized. Sometimes a project can make time and/or cost savings by accepting customer-furnished equipment needed for installation or testing, or receiving information from the customer that is outside the direct control of the project. Any of these can introduce delays or misunderstandings that represent significant risk. Technology, especially technology that is new to the project or to the customer, introduces risks relating to performance, integration, testing, and maintenance. Many people in management roles have no relevant training nor education to support them in their management role. This can lead to deficiencies in the management of a project that introduces significant risk. For example, there may be inadequate planning, unrealistic expectations, staff conflicts, and/or poor communication. Inadequate planning can introduce deficiencies due to inadequate project definition, incomplete identification of work, poor risk planning, resulting in inaccurate estimates and therefore incomplete schedules and budgets. Even with good management, working with people can introduce many risks. Sometimes a project requires a large team, perhaps with team members who are geographically spread. How many of the project team are not fully dedicated to the project, perhaps working on other projects at the same time? What is the experience level of the team? Have they been previously involved in similar types of work? Have this group of people worked together before? Was that experience helpful and supportive? Has the project allocated sufficient resources to complete the work? Do the people involved in the project have sufficient knowledge and skills required to complete the project? Do they have sufficient training and/or experience? Has the project accessed lessons learnt from past projects that are similar? Does the organisation encourage learning from previous experience? Perhaps there are no historical records to access prior learning. There could be other factors that are outside project control, such as the time available to get the new product to market before our competitors. What are the actions of competitors, such as pricing strategies, market reputation, and experience, that could introduce risk into our project? There are many factors that can introduce risk into a project. The most significant risk that is most damaging to the project and difficult to manage is people.